We can now catch up with senior global reporter for the MailOnline Nick Pisa, who's live in Praia da Luz. Nick, an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Why is a new search underway in the Madeleine McCann case?
Well, in essence, it's because the authorities in Germany who are investigating the prime suspect, a man called Christian Bruckner, have appealed to Portuguese authorities to carry out these searches in the area around Praia da Luz, which is where Madeleine disappeared from when she was just 3 years old, as you say, in 2007. So that's almost 18 years ago. And they've asked Portuguese police to grant them access to an area of scrubland about 3.5 miles, 5 kilometres away from Praia da Luz. And I spent the day up there, and it's quite desolate and isolated. There are quite a few abandoned, derelict farmhouses and outbuildings out there. Many of them have no roof, and you can see that some of the police officers are wearing hard hats there for obvious health and safety issues. And they've been using pickaxes and shovels to dig away at the ground, and they've also been using chainsaws and strimmers to cut away at undergrowth, because we expect them to bring in ground-penetrating radar at some stage just to check the area around these houses to see if the earth has been disturbed and to see if possibly there is something under there that is worth investigating further.
Nick, you're on the ground, as you just mentioned to me. Is this latest search a race against time to try and charge Christian Bruckner, the main suspect in Madeleine McCann's case? Is this the feeling that you're getting while you're there?
Yeah, in essence, it is, yes, because, as I said earlier, Christian Bruckner, who police in 2020 in Germany named as the prime suspect for the abduction and murder of Madeleine McCann, he is actually serving a 7-year jail sentence for rape. He was convicted of raping an elderly US woman who lived here locally in Praia da Luz, and he was convicted in 2019. And he is eligible for release at the moment, but he's been kept in for various reasons while pending the police investigation and other crimes that he was convicted of, minor misdemeanors, while he was in jail. But now that clock is ticking, as you say, and come September, he will be freed from his sentence. There is the possibility that he could actually remain in jail until January 2026, because I spoke to the prosecutor a little earlier this afternoon, and he told me that there is the question of an outstanding €1,500 fine that has to be paid. And if that isn't paid, then he won't be released until January. But yes, in essence, they are looking for something concrete, some concrete evidence that they can use to charge Christian Bruckner with Madeleine McCann in potential murder, because they are of the firm opinion that she has been murdered. So, as I say, what is bringing them here is a lot of circumstantial evidence. We know that Christian Bruckner lived here. We know that he worked here. We know that his phone was triangulated to this area. And that's why the police are focusing their attention on this scrubland. As I say, it's about 3.5 miles away, 5 kilometres from Praia da Luz. They've looked in these outbuildings, and as I came away a little earlier, they were also looking at 2 wells. They drained those wells with water with the help of fire brigade, and they were examining them. We understand from the German authorities that they actually do have permission here to work with their Portuguese counterparts until Friday, although they are saying that they do expect these searches to be wrapped up as early as Thursday.
And Nick, Christian Bruckner has always denied any involvement in this case of Madeleine McCann. But do we know if the German police actually have any solid leads that could help them solve this case, and that's why they're back in this area?
Well, they are playing it very close to their chest. It's a question that every journalist has asked the German prosecutor. Why are you so convinced that Christian Bruckner is involved? What is it that you have on him? You know, you announced to a great fanfare in June 2020, let's not forget that, 5 years ago now, that he was the chief suspect in this case, but you have not brought any charges again. Let's see the colour of your money, if you want, for a colloquialism. But they are not releasing any evidence. We do know, as I say, that he lived here, he worked here, his phone was triangulated here. back in 2007 when Madeleine disappeared. He also has he, as I say, serving 7 years for rape, and he also has convictions for paedophilia committed whilst he was a young man in Germany. So, as I said, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Whilst he was back in Germany a few years ago, they found CD hard disks and USB sticks on which there was paedophile material on them, and there is some suggestion that perhaps there is data on that information that links specifically to this area of scrubland near Praia da Luz where they are searching.
And Nick, many of the UK's newspapers feature the search of Madeleine on the front pages. She's been missing for 18 years. Thousands of children go missing on a daily basis. Why is there still so much public interest in this particular case?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because, as you say, hundreds of children go missing each year. And we should also say that the Metropolitan Police have a dedicated unit committed to investigating the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, which was set up more than 10 years ago at the request of the then Home Secretary Theresa May, and which has received £13 million worth of funding from the taxpayer. And questions are being asked about, why is this money being spent when, as you say, hundreds of other children go missing each year, and this amount of resources and time is not dedicated to them. But I suppose it's a story that has gripped the imagination of many people. I suppose many people think, by the grace of God go I, because let's just refresh the viewers. Madeleine was on holiday with her parents, Kate, and in a holiday complex at Praia da Luz. They went out for dinner and they were taking it in turns with friends to return and check on Madeleine, see that she was okay with her two siblings. And it's sometime in that period, that evening, there was a gap of time, and someone managed to get in there and take Madeleine away. And I say it's maybe something that parents across the world have thought, there, by the grace of God, go I. You've gone on holiday and you've nipped out for 5-10 minutes to maybe get something from the shops or from the bar, and you've left the children at home. And yeah, it's something that has gripped public attention. They just seem to be such a well-to-do couple. They're both very professional, and you can just see the desperation in their faces. About a month or so ago, they put an appeal on the Find Madeleine Facebook page, in which they said that she would never be forgotten and they would carry on searching. And you can just see that they just want some closure after 18 long years. But I have to say, whether it will come from these searches, I very much doubt it.
Nick Pisa, senior global reporter for the Mail Online. It was really great to have you on and your insights. Thank you once again for joining us.